I learned something pretty cool. Like most time-based effects are like similar to each other. So you like, if you start at like the smallest level, you've got a phaser, and basically how that works is it just delays the signal just a little bit. But the cool thing about a phaser is that it changes how much it's delayed based off of a low frequency oscillator or an LFO.
Right.
And then on the next time-based effect, the next one up, you have a doubler, which that's delaying the signal by usually about 5 to like 15, 20-ish milliseconds.
With a doubler, are they doing any type of panning, or is it the same location, like left to right?
Depending on how you're using it, it can be up the middle.
Okay.
It can be panned.
I was curious.
I would say normally, like in a live sound situation, the doubler is probably on that one channel, so it's probably panned in the center. In the studio, you probably have a little bit more flexibility.
Right.
And generally in the studio, the way you're getting a doubling is through actually tracking another double. That's different,
like
though.
Double tracking as opposed, but yeah, I think the biggest thing to bring out in the first, like talking about time-based effects, is that this 50 millisecond threshold. So 50 milliseconds, that's where above 50 milliseconds is when it becomes delay, and below 50 milliseconds is when it's really time-based effects. So like chorus and flanger and doubling and such, those are all like having delays in there that are less than 50 milliseconds.
Right.
But that's where it starts to sound like an audible repeat. It starts to sound weird a little bit before that, but that's the threshold of an audible repeat. So
with that, I don't know if you clarified it because it's still kind of a little confusing. What he means by audible repeat is it sounds like two separate sounds, or like two things occurring at 50 milliseconds and later. Before 50 milliseconds, it sounds like it's the same sound, but it might be coming from like either a different direction. That's when we get into things like the Haas effect, which we're not going to dive into too much tonight. But like that's a thing to be aware of. 50 milliseconds after that, it starts to sound like a repeat or a doubling of that, or like a I don't know, delay, like a echo.
And all these cool effects are that joined together sound that's less than 50 milliseconds, so it doesn't sound like two sounds. Right. It sounds like one that sounds different.
Cool.
Yeah, but cool. Yeah.
And then after we get to like the echo / delay, when we talk about delay, we're talking about like an echo. Mm-hmm. If you go
the worst term ever.
Yeah.
Because people refer to echo as reverb and echo as delay, but
they don't understand.
And then if you add multiple delays together, like multiple delays, like 70 or 480, then you get into your reverbs. And basically reverbs are just like multiple delays together. At least as far as I understand. There's some other things that can go into reverb as well.
Yeah, it's basically recreating the myriad of delays that are going to happen in a physical environment. Right. And it could be like thousands of delays at different times. Every time it bounces off a surface, it slows down. It loses energy, and it also loses, different energy at different pitches, at different frequencies, and so it like EQs the delay. So anyways, reverb is super complex, but it's
like with reverb, there's a lot of different types of reverb. I don't want to get into that because that's a whole that could be an episode in and of itself.